Supreme Court, in addition to these, now court systems in general, I think they get away with doing a lot of fucked up stuff. Though not exclusively. Obviously, you have to understand there's a chain of command here, and all of them are complicit from the fucking police on up. The people that arrest folks for like trying to protect their property on all the way on up to the people that enforce these laws. Or hand out sentences. It's a lot of rotten stuff that's a part of this sort of judicial system, if that's what you want to be able to call it. But there was something that we're going to cover. Daniel Horowitz over at Blaze was talking about this, the recent issue that you saw with, obviously a lot of people started turning on like landlords, really, and that's the landlords are always these evil people, according to them. So people, for example, within the pandemic, they couldn't enforce their own rules really to get people to fuck up out of there for not being able to pay rent or not paying the rent. And in a lot of cases, you found that was made illegal, all of that sort of stuff. Let's read about this story real quick that Daniel covered that I wanted to just make you guys knowledgeable on. As it starts, two of the ineligible ways that the government has used COVID to create Venezuela-style Marxism are the CDC mandate prohibiting landlords from evicting residents and the massive unemployment welfare scheme that paid some people more to be employed. Obviously, I've talked extensively about those. It's one thing for it to be isolated and one of those problems be a thing, but when you have one thing being added on to another, it just balloons it, right? Like, so when you talk about, for example, with the printing of the money, in addition to the spending that we're doing, these are disastrous policies. Says two court decisions governing the outcomes of each of these policies, just opposed to one another, create a new paradigm in America. You have the right to welfare or other people's property, but you don't have a right to your own. I love the way that he worded that. Last Tuesday, Justice Kavanaugh joined, he says shockingly joined, not shocking to me, 4 liberals on the Supreme Court and refusing to stay the CDC's mandatorium on evictions. Kavanaugh indicated that the eviction moratorium is likely unlawful absent congressional approval, but noted that because it is set to expire on July 31st, it wasn't worth placing an injunction on it, even though it's still in place and violating people's property rights. Also, that in itself is setting a precedent. Excuse me. The eviction moratorium was one of the most radical things done under the Trump administration, and it, of course, was continued by the Biden administration. I appreciate Daniel acknowledging the fact that Trump's ass had a lot to do with this. And while this version of the order is set to expire next month, there's no guarantee they won't issue a new modified order. Last September, the CDC decided that it could control your breathing. It could control your property rights as well, which is all rights extend from property rights, or rather all rights are property rights, as well as all legitimate rights. And proceeded to bar landlords from evicting any family earning under $200,000 who didn't pay rent. So basically, if you were basically housing someone for fucking free. And some of you guys who do rent out properties, I don't personally do that. And though I've thought extensively about it, I don't personally do that. And you guys know that, yeah, you've gotten fucked, in a sense that you cannot. Even if you had people that were willing to move in and be able to pay for this rent, you couldn't do that. So you're basically housing someone for fucking free. So despite handing out free money to everyone, which they did, and a lot of people spent the free money on bullshit, not rent. So despite handing out free money, including $600 to $1,000 in unemployment benefits every week in some states, the government still put the onus on private landowners to eat the cost retroactively. Shred their private contracts, which is again true. That's absolutely true, and I'm glad that Daniel was highlighting this because this is the reality of what we're dealing with, and that's how it is. Like the government is basically effectively saying that you have a right to other people's money, but you ain't got a right to your own shit. Thus, we have 4 or 5 justices Justices now believe that COVID allows the government to take away your property when the entire purpose of government is to protect private property, which from anarchy. That's obviously where I fucking disagree. And the fact that you even acknowledging this, Daniel, hopefully as you were typing that out, you realized how you, that doesn't even fucking make sense, or rather how that's not happening, right? That it's not happening. You're saying that the government don't protect the goddamn thing. No matter what you think that they're supposed to do, the government don't protect the goddamn thing. Because who are these people then appealing to when they might owe you money, or rather when they're violating your private property rights? Who do these people appeal to ensure that in the event that you react, you don't, I don't know, enforce a contract? They'll make sure that you're the one that gets punished. We saw this all year last year when people, for example, were having their businesses fucking robbed, essentially taking everything fucking up out of there. And in the event that a landowner or business owner, building owner said, no, you don't get to do this, pulled a gun out, shot a motherfucker, they were the one that got in trouble for that. As the police sitting down the street around the corner, just standing there, letting these motherfuckers come through, fuck the whole block up. Pawn shop owner say, no. Y'all ain't looting this one right here. Bang. And now he the one that got to go to jail. Because stupid, basically right or duty to retreat laws and shit like that, which are enforced by way of the government. Maybe they don't have private property and rights in mind. Maybe they are the biggest violator of the private property rights, Daniel. You halfway had it, and then you fucking lost it. But let's continue on. You have no right to your private property or to open a business, but someone else has a right to live on your property without paying. Yes, and the government's affirming that, Daniel. It says, I just read that. It says, hold that thought for a moment and now try to understand an order from an Indiana County judge attempting to force states to pay the exorbitantly high federal unemployment benefits, even though it's making it impossible for businesses to find workers willing to work. You see why you don't have a right to your own rental, open a business, breathe freely, talking about mask, or decline an experimental injection. People have the right to unemployment welfare that stimulates unemployment. That's the disastrous, what you're seeing right there. And what I wish Republicans did more often is apply that to virtually every other subject. It is the danger of the welfare statism. And that you get more of it, obviously, when you subsidize it. But when you couple that with like what we had in the last year, you get very disastrous results. And that is like, well, businesses can't find workers because they sitting on their ass collecting money because you told them to sit home because you were scared of a virus with a 99% survival rate. And of course, the bums are going to advocate for a policy as such because that's exactly what they are, bums. Of course, if you give someone the option of sitting on their ass versus going to work, and even if they make slightly under what they were making, in some cases people were making more with unemployment benefits, but even if it was slightly more, they're not doing anything to get it. Not doing anything to get it. So of course they're going to take that over working and making, even if it's slightly more. Work 40 hours, make slightly more. Fake like you're looking for a job, basically working not at all and make slightly less. Of course they're going to take that. You're incentivizing them to take that. But what more so is the bulk of rather what we need to be discussing here. And what I want you to take away from this is exactly that. The government all the time, not just in this this is just the latest example of this. They say that people have a right to your shit, but you don't have a right to your own property by way of not just through regulatory law like what we saw with this, but also with taxation and stuff, property taxes being among the most evil ones, where they basically say you renting out your own shit because you got to pay them to fucking live on some shit you own. Man, if I can get people to just, he lost it though. Like, this is what I don't like about that. He lost it. He lost it when it was like, okay, you were halfway there, and then he got there and he was like, oh, the government's not actually protecting private property rights. There's a pause when you lost it. You almost had it, Daniel. I'm going to get these boys to realize the logical conclusion soon enough. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcannonsake.com.